So the thing I was worried about when I came down here to work today was whether or not I had the right water pump, because there's a short and a long water pump, and when I went and bought it, I didn't know off the top of my head what I had. The customer service guy at Summit Racing looked up a 76 Corvette, and he said that it was a short water pump. And now that I get them and have them next to each other, I believe he gave me the right one. So I'm going to kind of just test fit that first, and then I'm assuming that that's going to be the correct one. And then I will get some gasket sealer and put it on. But this goes like so. Okay, I'm getting faked out by the offset on the pulleys again, because the water pump pulley, which has a bunch of other belts on it as well, is offset as well, and it comes over and moves those belt locations inward towards the engine. So it looks like it's good. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find the gaskets that go with that, and I'm going to take those gaskets and put some gasket sealant, and this stuff is made for pretty much any kind of shop fluids, if you will. Trying to see where it says it right down there. Seals hose connections and rubber. I don't know what that other word is because it got pulled off, and cork gaskets. And it's shop fluid resistant. Holds gaskets in place during assembly, and that's what I'm after, is holding the gaskets in place. So I'm going to have to locate those gaskets. I'll put some of this on it, let it dry a little bit, and then we'll stick them in place, and we'll be ready to put the pump on. If you look at the places where the water pump attaches, you'll notice on this side there are 3 holes. On that side there's only 2. They're both bolt holes there. In this case you got 2 bolt holes, and so both of the gaskets come like this. On this side it'll just stick out and hang over. But it's some sort of a return hole there, I believe. Don't know what it's for exactly, but what we're going to do is I'm going to stick the, how should I do this? I think I'm going to stick the gaskets onto the water pump, because what I can do is I can use the water pump bolts to line them up. And I have water pump bolts over here. So I have two long bolts over on the bench where I took apart the old water pump. That looks like that's a little bit too long. And this one, which is the longest of those others, appears to be just a little bit too short. I'm going to use the long one to line up the gaskets. Put a light coating of this. It's nothing more than contact cement, really. And you're supposed to put a coating of it on the gasket and on the surface it bonds to, and then let them dry a bit and tack up. And stick them on. So what I'll do is I'll put this long bolt through here, and I'll use that to line up the gasket. I'll put this other long bolt, line that up, and I'll stick the gasket on there, and then I'll be able to just coat them both with the sealant, which would be the gasket on that, and then the mating surface there on the block. Actually, it would be for that one that I just put on, it would be there on the block, because that's the 3-hole one. And so those don't have to set too long. And this isn't really, I don't think, anything more than contact cement. So you'll stick it on there. And that will stay in place while we put it onto the block. So I'll do the same on the other side, and then I'll put the sealant on the outside of these gaskets and on the block, and then we'll put the water pump in place. So I found this source of my confusion. This is the mounting bracket for the air conditioner compressor that was originally on the 76. And this here is, with it installed and the long bolt, it's the correct length. And then I'm going to have the next longest bolt in here, because this is pretty thick. But I'm not putting the old air conditioning compressor back on, because I'm replacing it with a vintage air. So this is how that would have looked with the original air conditioner bracket on. My answer to my problem is in this bag and these instructions, and over there with my new air conditioner brackets. So I'm going to have to read those instructions and find out which of those pieces in that bag I actually need in order to mount that water pump correctly. So the solution is not really in that bag, but a temporary solution might be. One way or another, I will get this on today, but I'm going to have to replace a bolt next time I'm down here working, because for now we're going to put these two bolts in first. That is reaim the camera to the engine block, so as you can see what I'm actually doing here. I'm going to put the right hand two bolts in first, because those will work. Oh boy, I think I've just run into another problem. I'm not sure that this water pump is clearing this timing chain cover. Frustrations. I'm going to tighten it up a little bit since I've already got those gaskets cemented on. But I don't think this is going to work. You know, when I tighten this, I'm an eighth of an inch off here. Wow. And the problem I think I'm going to have is what they call the long water pump is like an inch longer. So that would put the pulleys out of alignment. This is not good. I guess maybe I could see if I could maybe, and I'm not even sure I can, take the bolts out of the back of the water pump and replace them with something with a thinner head. But this isn't going to go on that way, that's for sure. It's been a frustrating afternoon. I've got nothing accomplished other than identifying problems. Get rid of that ratchet and use this as a screwdriver type thing. See, those are pretty thick heads on those bolts, and they do stick out further than the back plate of the water pump here. But they're hitting on here somewhere. Funny thing is, it appears, let me check to make sure it's not hitting that. It appears these two indentations here are designed for the two lower bolts. They seem to fit right in there. Note the timing mark is nowhere near. While the contact cement there is fairly new, I'm going to use some acetone and get that off of there, because I'm going to have to retry it one way or another. So this might be ugly, because I took even the original water pump that I took off of this car and tried to position it, and that's just as bad, if I have to say so. I don't know what the answer to this is. I had originally planned to put an electric water pump on here, and that would have been fine, I think. The only problem is the electric water pump didn't have a return nipple for the radiator fluid, the coolant coming out of the heater core, so you couldn't run a heater. And that was unacceptable to me, because I do plan to drive this car into the cooler months. But I'm not even sure that if I would take this is the chrome one now. Not even sure that if I would take and grind down these nuts, whether this part isn't going to interfere. So why am I saying it could be ugly? If I put this in here, it looks like, and again, I can't get it far enough in. It looks like this part of the water pump would hit this timing cover before the flanges that mate to the block would hit. And the reason I say this is ugly is because I've already put braking oil in it, and it's about $50 worth of oil, if I remember correctly. And if the solution to this problem is to change the timing cover, then here's the problem I run into. Because I have a roller cam, this needed a cam button on here, and it had to be machined to fit with this cover. So if I replace this cover, I've got to take the engine back to the machine shop to get the cam button spaced properly. And that's more money that I shouldn't have to spend, I guess. Is what my comment would be. So for today, I'm somewhat irritated. We'll let you know in another video what the resolution is. But again, watch my channel. You see the good, the bad, and the ugly. Have a nice day. I hope it's better than mine's been. So I'm recording a little extra clip here because I don't know if I said about taking the timing chain cover off. In order to take that off, you have to take the oil pan off, which means you have to drain the oil. And I can show you, I believe, on the old timing chain cover, yes, which is sitting here on my bench. There's that flange on the end, and the oil pan sits in that groove. So this doesn't come off unless the oil pan comes off. So that would be another complication of the whole issue. And you can see on this, has an indentation, probably to clear the water pump. Not a good day.